I've seen the worst in humanity. I really have. And I see people here that are just one step removed and they're walking amongst us all over the place and they're called woke. These are dangerous people. These are
They
dangerous people.
they again, they have no appreciation for somebody like you that is out there in foreign lands, unbeknownst to them, protecting their way of life so that they can exercise their freedom of speech to yell at other people that disagree with them and then demand censorship of them. Everything that you are fighting for our freedoms, for the United States Constitution and our Bill of Rights, which protects our right to communicate freely with each other and criticize Joe Biden and criticize Donald Trump. And don't you dare do that in Thailand or in China or even in Russia. It's it's just unbelievable to me that people don't understand this and take it for granted. And it's because they haven't faced any adversity in their life. And this is kind of like there's laws of physics. When you're with a shark, you have to be very careful to know what that shark is about, to not make the wrong movement. Is that an accurate statement?
Oh, yes, it is. You have to play by the rules of nature because if you don't, nature will take a pound of flesh, if not end your life. Well,
Absolutely. If you're in the mountains and you make a wrong move, if you think that that snow that is on that glacier, that there's land underneath it, and you are wrong, you cascade, and the condors in the Peruvian Andes come and get you. End of story. And
it's
that's
completely true.
life. But we
Well,
are,
that's analogous to freedom. You have the freedom to act like an idiot. You have the freedom to fail. But when those freedoms are gone and other people make those decisions for you, is the only time you realize what you had. But now you can no longer get it back because you have that type of people that are preventing it. And you make those mistakes in nature, nature corrects you. You make that mistake in social economic values, social nature gets you. And you find out that what you think you were fighting for and you get it, you realize, oh my God, history was right. How could I have done that? Well, by then it's too late.
yeah.
And a lot of these people don't have enough wherewithal in their brain matter. They only have three or more brain cells to rub together, and they're not communicating, so they can't actually think that way through. I have yet to find somebody who believes that communism is a good idea that has an IQ above 6. These are not very bright people.
But the thing is, it's just so right out there in the open. I have lived in the Czech Republic and I have been to I've been to Russia a few times. I have been to other communist countries from Cuba to China. And I can tell you that wherever communism has been, the people are miserable. Miserable. There's no smiling in the Soviet Union. You do not invite a conversation with somebody that you don't know, because if I was a loving parent, that's what I'm going to teach my child, because in the past they used to send you to the gulags when 1 in 3 East Germans was a Stasi agent. So
Mhm.
if as a loving parent and I love my kid, I'm going to teach them not to interact with anybody, which is why smiles, especially among anybody who's 35 plus in the former Soviet republics, are minimal at best, if not non-existent. And people embrace communism and say this is what we must do, despite the track record.
Well, let me tell you a short story. Um, I'm not going to tell you where this was until the end, but I'll just tell you some of the atrocities that I saw. I saw a mass grave of 126 women and children that were killed by machete to keep it quiet. And they were buried in a shallow grave. The only reason I found them, my buddy and I found them, is we found a mummified baby that for some reason no animals touched. And I do not understand why. It's almost like the animals themselves were horrified at the event and wouldn't even feed on this little corpse. And then shortly after that, my friend was killed. He was shot and then burned to death. And I had to carry him for 3 days out of the jungle. And then I have seen children that were too young to rape chicken wired onto a fence so the ants could eat them alive and their parents could hear. I've seen this myself. They're called the FARC in Colombia, and the Biden administration just pardoned all of them. I want you to let that sink in. My friend is dead. I discovered all those bodies, and the Biden administration pardoned all of them. Those murderers, those rapists, those child molesters, they're free. And they're roaming all over the place, and Colombia is totally fine to immigrate to the United States. So who's next door to you? Do you know? So I just want you to understand there's some terrible things in the world that are coming very close to home right now. And that's why I'd go to the sea, because to me, hanging on a giant squid or a big shark or filming a whale feeding in close proximity, to me, that's sanity, because that's God's creation. That's natural. That's the way it should be. And it keeps me sane. And I haven't even told you the bad things I've seen.
Um,
So it's hard for a parent to realize this, but the protection of children comes with what good people with Christian Judeo values have set up. That's what this country was founded on. And it has been a beacon of freedom and liberty to the world for over 250 years for a reason. And people risk their lives to die to come to this country for a reason. Let's keep that shining light going a little longer, shall we?
God bless.